Today we will be making our very own Swansea Swan plush from Mouthwashing. Usually I'd go to Witchcrafty for something like this, but she has not posted in 3 years and has forced me to take matters into my own hands. I have never made a pattern before, and there are probably a lot of problems with this one, but I am too lazy to fix them. Also, I sound very monotonous in the voiceover. It's because I had a sore throat and was very tired. For this project, you're going to need white, black, and orange minky, matching thread in those same colors, some general sewing materials like a needle, pins, scissors, a printer to print out the pattern, and stuffing. And it's optional, but I would recommend pellet bead stuffing as well, because it really helps the plush get its floppy look that it kind of has. The pattern is in the description and all the pieces are proportional to each other. However, you're going to have to scale it yourself depending on how big you want the plush to be. You can make it a lot smaller if you want to make an actual keychain. I'm making just a general teddy bear size plush in this video. When cutting the pieces for this pattern, make sure to trace in pen and give generous seam allowance. First, take your two body pieces and pin them together with the fuzzy sides facing each other. Then sew around the perimeter of the torso and neck as I'm pointing out here, but leave a gap on the side. This will be your stuffing hole later on. Then sew the darts. Usually you would do this first, but Minky's really shifty, and when I tried it, the curve made it really hard for me to line up the body pieces, so I think this way's easier. This is me stuffing the neck to make sure I did it right. You don't have to do this, but it does kind of help for later, because stuffing the neck is very difficult. It's really annoying. But if your neck kind of looks squished and weird, I don't have a good photo of it, it's fine. It will look better once you stuff it. I'm also ripping the seam here because I completely forgot to make my stuffing hole, so that's all that is. After sewing the torso and the darts, take your bottom piece and pin it to the bottom of the body. Then you're going to use a running stitch to sew the bottom piece along the rim of the bottom opening. Make sure you line up your pen marks and sew through them. Once you're done, flip the plush inside out through the stuffing hole and fill it with stuffing. I recommend putting pellet beads at the bottom so that the plush can stand on its own. Then close up your stuffing hole with a ladder stitch. Next, you'll want to cut out the leg pieces. I only cut out 2 and then pin them to bigger pieces of orange minky because I find for smaller pieces like that, it's a lot easier to do this instead of cutting 2 small pieces and trying to line them up perfectly. Sew along your pen lines, but leave a small opening at the top so you can flip it out later. You're going to do basically the same thing with these foot pieces, cutting out 2 of them and then pinning them to bigger pieces of fabric. However, for these pieces, you're only going to sew the sides. The top and bottom will be left open. The top is going to be for flipping it inside out later, and the bottom is going to have a foot pad attached to it. Cut out the foot pads and attach them to the feet using a running stitch, similar to how you attached the bottom to the torso earlier. You could probably do this with a sewing machine, but I kept messing it up when I tried, so I'm just sticking to hand stitching. Stuff the legs and feet lightly, adding pellets if you have them to the feet. Then use a ladder stitch to attach the feet to the legs. Pin the legs to the body however you want to position them, and then use a ladder stitch to attach them. I recommend going around twice just to make sure it's really secure. I lost all my footage for this part, but basically you're just sewing the two wing pieces together and leaving an opening on the side so you can flip them out. Then you use a ladder stitch to attach it to the body in the places that I'm marking here. Then, cut out your 4 head pieces. If this part seems unclear, it's basically an elongated sphere, so just look up a sphere tutorial. Put the pieces in pairs, with the minky sides facing each other, and then sew along the right edge of each. I lost footage, but you're basically going to flip those pieces to where the minky are facing and then sew along like I'm pointing out here, except leaving a hole at the bottom. Flip and stuff the head, and then set it aside. Cut out your beak pieces and sew them together. I made mine a little too big, so I had to trim it down a bit. Just try to size it around the face and see what looks best. Once you finish sewing your beak, flip it inside out and attach it to the face using a ladder stitch. Cut out all of the face details and attach them using a running stitch. Finally, pin the head to the neck and attach using a ladder stitch.